You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi everybody, Cheryl Kay. I want to welcome you. I'm so excited. Today we're going to have a guest who is an animal and a celebrity trainer for animals, also an author, and he's going to talk about a few different ways to train our animals and also to tell us a few wonderful things about our friendly company, Bil-Jac. So we'll be right back after this break, and I'll see you then.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
It's DesignerPetSweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit DesignerPetSweaters.com to order your 4-legged fashions today. Your pets will stay warm for the winter and be runway ready. Large or small, we fit them all. DesignerPetSweaters.com.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi everybody, Cheryl Kay here with Unleashed. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm so excited today because we have a great guest, Joel Silverman. He is a Hollywood celebrity trainer. He is a behaviorist. He knows so many different things about animals. He's written books. So welcome, Joel. I'm so glad to have you. And why don't we tell the audience a little bit about you?
Well, I actually grew up in Southern California doing started working at SeaWorld. When I was about 16 years old, I started picking up trash because I wanted to train marine mammals. And I heard that's kind of how you get your foot in the door. And so I just started doing that. And I started bugging the director of training. And eventually I got hired there to kind of as an apprentice trainer and eventually working with dolphins, sea lions, and eventually killer whales. So a lot of my training actually, or a lot of my style in dog training really comes from working with marine mammals and specifically working with killer whales back in the early late 70s, early 80s. As I said, I grew up in Southern California, so I left SeaWorld, went back to LA, started doing the animal show at Universal Studios. I did a dolphin show at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I put one in at Knott's Berry Farm. So ended up doing a theme park, a show in almost every theme park in Southern California with the exception of Disneyland. And I started doing the animal show at Universal Studios, and that's kind of what got me into training birds, dogs, and cats.
Birds.
And
big birds.
Birds as well. Yeah, exactly. And birds and dogs and cats. And so, I trained Dreyfus on the TV series Empty Nest in the late, some of the things that people might recognize, from 1988 to 92. We did 192 tapings of that show. And it was after Golden Girls, of those people that are old enough to remember.
That was my Saturday night show, excuse me.
It was. The greatest.
Exactly.
It was a lot of fun. So I did that, and then I ended up doing a video called the Hollywood Dog Training Program right about that time. It was a VHS. If people just Google Hollywood Dog Training Program, you'll see they still sell them on eBay and things. But that's what really got me into working in front of the camera. And then about 10 years later, I got a chance to host Good Dog You on Animal Planet, one of the very first shows. And it was one of the highest rated shows when it first came out. And that was in like 1999. Since that time, I've just written, about 4 books, hosted another TV series, been responsible for training all the dogs in a lot of different types of commercials and things like that, and have had a great relationship with Bil-Jac dog food as well over the course of time. And I actually met the owners on a shoot we were doing actually in when I was working on Empty Nest, basically in 1991, and I've kind of had a relationship with them ever since as well. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that a little later. But anyway, that's kind of my story. And a lot of people recognize me from the Chase commercial. Chase had contacted me. Chase Bank had contacted me about 2.5 years ago about 2 years ago because they were doing a campaign with this new campaign, and they wanted myself, Serena Williams, and Tim Morehouse, who is a famous fencing champion. They're looking for people that have actually excelled in their careers. And so we shot this commercial in New York, and it ended up airing about 4,000 times. And they stopped it last April of last year, but it aired about 4,000 times. And my picture, my dog's picture, Duchess, were in all the Chase banks and across America for a good chunk of last year. So we're very thankful for that. So a lot of people recognize me from that as well.
Right, but I've seen that commercial more recently than April. I'm pretty sure I have. I don't look at anything at the bank. I look at the dog, and then I worry about that she's going to go out in the street.
Right, exactly. That's funny. But anyway, yeah, so we're very, very thankful. A lot of people, do recognize me from that as well.
Right. Now, in, looking at some of your videos yesterday, I did see one with the dogs lined up, and that's the one where you get them to roll over, correct?
That's in the Chase commercial, yes.
Okay, so that's what I remember, too. I wouldn't know it was the bank. I just focus on the animals.
Yeah.
That's it. And what exactly do you do with Bil-Jac? I know they have a great treat program, and I know they're very much on, keeping dogs fit and trim and how to keep them fit and trim, and now, for some areas, the winter.
Yeah, my story is kind of interesting, and I always like to let people know that I had met Bob Kelly, who's the owner of Bil-Jac, on a shoot we were doing in 1991, and we were just filming, and he was there, and he was involved with the production, and he was just a really nice guy and everything, and kind of explained to me about Bil-Jac and really the difference between Bil-Jac and some of the other foods. And one of the things that he said to me is something that I explain to people now, because I'm not really a food guy. I don't really understand, I'm not a veterinarian. I'm not a engineer or, chemist or anything like that. I'm just an average dog trainer, But one thing he explained to me was that most dog foods are cooked at very high temperatures, okay? And what happened is they created this, what's called a slow cooking vacuum process, where the food was cooked at low enough heats where the amino acids were not damaged. If it's the higher the heat that you cook the food, the more the aminos are damaged. The lower the heat, the less they are. And you want your dogs to be able to get as much of that as they possibly can. In general, that's really what they do. They avoid that heat damage that can occur in most expanded dog foods. And then they put the right blend of vitamins and minerals to make it a complete and balanced diet. And that's kind of their story. So I met them. I've been feeding the food for years. People can go to my website and they can look at my dog Foster. We're going to videotape him actually fairly soon, because I retired him about 4 or 5 years ago when I started using Duchess. But he is almost 13 years old. And if you watch him work right now, he looks and acts like he's 5, and he's 13.
That's like the black and white, Shetland that you have?
He's a little terrier mix. Okay. He's on the cover of all my books. If you look at all my books, he's a little gray dog. He's a dachshund. He's adopted, so but he's a dachshund miniature schnauzer mix, basically. Okay. But he's a great little guy. But anyway, the whole thing is, I just got a letter from a woman. As a matter of fact, she just wrote me a letter. They just had to put their dog down at a very, very old age. But one of the reasons she sent me the letter was just to say thank you for talking about Bil-Jac, because she put her dog on Bil-Jac and her dog lived a great life, and the coat was great. His coat, the dog's coat was great, and they just really appreciated it. So getting those types of letters from people are really, really important to me more than anything. You're just letting them know they're feeding the right food. So, and of course, Bil-Jac also, as a movie animal trainer, they have these treats, and they've always had, treats, but now they've come up with a lot of different flavors of treats. And I'm a huge fan of what's called these little jacks. And although there are for little dogs, I use them a lot for some of the bigger dogs, just because I don't have to break up the other treats in smaller pieces. So anyways, they're available in the Petco's and PetSmarts and things like that, and Pet Supermarket, as well. So, but
listen, I swear by them, because I had gotten a couple of samples, and I stopped at a friend's house who had 2 dogs and a couple of cats, and the dogs went crazy for it, and the cat liked it. And, I have at home, and every once in a while, I have 2 cats besides my Maine Coon. They love it. I know it's really for dogs, but, nobody's looking, and once in a blue moon, it really doesn't matter. But I've been to, other friends that have many dogs. A lot of people I friends with are rescue people, and rescue people have no less than 8 dogs. And they go crazy for it, that when I show up again, they remember me because of the treats. So I've trained them that I'm a treater.
That's funny. And the treats, they smell really good, too. My attitude is the fact that when you smell them, they don't smell bad at all. They smell good. And I think that's something that's more appealing. So if you're smelling something, the first thing you're going to do a lot of times, if you've never, fed these treats, you're going to open the bag and smell them. A lot of people, we just do that. It's just a natural human thing. So if it smells pretty good, then you're like, okay, well, that sounds pretty good. So anyways, it's kind of a great story. And as I said, I tell people all the time, if they have any questions, they're more than welcome to email me. Just go to my website, which is joelsilverman.net, fill out the form. I'll answer anything about Bil-Jac you'd like. As I said, I personally know Bob Kelly, who's the owner and the president of Bil-Jac. Good friend, good people. It's a family-owned business. The stuff's made right the factories are in Maryland. It's made in the United States. Always has been, always will be. And just really, really great people. But we're excited because, one of the reasons we're talking today is people looking for, New Year's resolutions and things like that. And I thought that I could maybe share with the listeners something that on some New Year's resolutions, a couple things they can do with their pet, because I think what happens is the year goes on, sometimes, just like anything else, you kind of forget a little bit.
And you get stuck in a groove.
Somebody yeah, you do. We all do, with everything in life, So I thought it'd be great to kind of give them a little information.
Wonderful. Okay, we're ready. I got my pen and paper.
All right. So two things we're going to talk a little bit about. The one is going to be your pet's activity level and then exercise. And then the second thing is training, because I'm a dog trainer. So as far as the exercise level is concerned, I think what happens is, we all, especially people, a lot of people live in apartments or live in, smaller places or whatever where the dogs need some exercise, and they really need to get that exercise. They really need to get that, and there's different ways of going about it. And I think what happens is sometimes people take the dog out, for a walk, once, and at the end of the day, life kind of gets in the way. They don't get the opportunity to walk them. So, disciplining yourself again, coming back and just basically saying when you come back at home at night, saying, I really need to take the dog for a walk. I really need to give myself another 20 minutes to walk the dog, or to exercise the dog in some way. There's different ways of exercising. People also, based upon the dog, Duchess, my dog, she's a Border Collie Australian Shepherd mix. She's a very high prey drive dog. She's a dog that needs exercise. She needs to be doing something. In my situation, I'm training her. I focus everything into training. If I wasn't training her, I would, take her to the park and throw the ball because she's crazy over the ball. But the bottom line is I'm giving her a job, and she's getting her exercise by doing what we're doing. And we go for walks, and we do a lot of stuff. We play with her and things. But that's kind of her story. I tell people that if you're looking for ways to exercise your dog, and maybe next year you're like, is there something else I can be doing? Agility training is great. And basically in almost every city, they have some sort of organized professional agility instructors that are out there. And it's not necessarily you're going to go and compete with your dog against other people. It's a human-animal type of thing. And that's all it is you just go and teach your dog to go through this little course. If you want to go and compete, you can do that. But the bottom line is it's just something that gives you the opportunity to really build a great relationship with your dog, and at the same time also give your dog a lot of exercise as well.
I've seen some of that. It's fabulous for an animal. They love it. Especially if they're high-energy animal.
High-energy animals, and also two other things. Fly ball, which is another very, very high-energy thing where dogs go across these hurdles. They jump over the hurdles, and at the end there's like a wall, and the dog is this little plunger. Dog hits this little thing, and the ball pops out of this little plunger, and dog grabs it, turns around, and runs back over these hurdles. It's a really, really high energy thing. It's called fly ball, FLYBALL. That's something that's really good. And then also dock diving, and that's where dogs basically are. They throw a ball or throw a lure off, and the dog runs off this thing and jumps into a pool. And they dive in the pool and they swim, to the side, and they just repeat it again. And so dock diving. So those three things are really, really great if you're looking for something organized that's more high energy as well. So that's the exercise. That's kind of the exercise. Where would
somebody find that in their local city?
I would recommend people doing this nowadays. Google is great. So if you just Google flyball or Google agility training in whatever city you're in, that's all you need to really do, and you'll find somebody in your city or close to your city. It's a national thing,
Yeah, well, people today, when you were talking about you getting your start in doing a lot of things in the 90s, today people and the pet business, I constantly push, on my Facebook page that, we live different lifestyles now, that I always try to get people to adopt more than one pet, whether it's a dog and a cat or it's two dogs. We're not living in little homes anymore. We have a lot of electronics, and if you could have more than one cell phone, you could certainly have more than one dog.
No, that's a good point. And something added to that is the fact that things have changed. I was a keynote speaker at a conference about 4 or 5 years ago, and one of the things we talked about was the way things have changed in the animal world. I mean, everything. I mean, as far as your veterinarian, the veterinarian, I mean, there's just so many more things that we know now.
Cleaning their teeth?
That we didn't know. 20 years ago, the things we didn't know. The foods that you look at 20 years ago, the types of dog foods there were 20 years ago versus now. Not only the brands, but just that within the brand, within their umbrella, all the different types, I mean, Bil-Jac right now, I mean, they have a grain-free dog food that I feed. They actually have grain-free dog food. And a lot of these different foods now have grain-free, along with everything else that they have, whether it's overweight dogs for, food for overweight dogs, older dogs, younger dogs, whatever. And then, of course, the training techniques have changed a lot from the last, in the last 20 years as well. And there are a lot of different styles that are out there. And that's why, my style I talk a lot about, and, people ask a lot about it, and that is I'm what's called a balanced dog trainer. I don't believe there's necessarily one style to training, one way to train a dog. The best owners and the best trainers across the nation that I've met are people that have, A, taken the time and gotten to know a dog and built a great relationship with a dog and built some trust, and B, train the dog based on that dog's personality, not based on one type of training, style. It's based on that personality. And that's why my What Color's Your Dog style.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. It's very, very interesting that way.
Yeah. And basically your dog is one of 5 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, or blue. And the way it works is you're going to assess your dog. And we start in the middle of the spectrum. That's a yellow dog. And we say mellow yellow. Some dogs are naturally yellow. Some dogs are yellow because over the course of time, they've had an owner that has just socialized the dog really well. You've seen dogs like that before that were they were a certain way, but they just mellowed out and they got better. Well, the reason is it's not because they got better. It's because the owners took the time and socialize the animal and train the animal and do all these things. So that's a yellow dog. And then as we start moving to the end of one end of the spectrum, next to a yellow, we have an orange. The orange is going to be a kind of a high-strung dog, kind of pacing, barking a little bit. Not too crazy, but just, that's the orange dog. But then on the other side, we have the red dog. Further away, we have that red dog. And red dog is very, very high-strung. His foot not on the ground. He's going to be barking. He's going to be lunging. So the reds and the orange, those two dogs are warmer-colored dogs. As we move away on the other side of the spectrum, away from the yellow dog, we have a green dog, which is they're going to be timid, they're going to be apprehensive, they're going to be cautious, maybe tail down, but kind of a little concerned, not really afraid, but they're concerned. And then on the other side of that, we have the blue dog, which is afraid of everything. You walk into the house, he runs under a bed. Very few dogs, very, very low percentage of dogs are blue dogs. Blues and greens are what we call the cooler color dogs. Okay, so we have a blue and a green, then we have the yellow, orange, and the red. Now that I've explained kind of the color scheme, I always tell people in my seminars, if we have a warmer dog, a dog that's just high-strung, very, very active, we have a cooler dog that's kind of timid, my question is, would we ever train those dogs the same way? Absolutely not. Those techniques differ like night and day. The blues and greens need motivation. We need to find a way to motivate those dogs and bring them out of their shells. High-value treats, using Bil-Jac treats or any other high-value treat, just bring them out of their shell. And we want to just, expose those dogs and just really, really nurture and build up that personality, expose the dog to everything, just make everything a fun thing. Life is great. But the reds and oranges, we don't necessarily want to do that with them. They're already high-strung. If we take out a high-value treat or if we just start getting all excited with them, they're already there. We need to calm them down. Okay, and then you need to find a way to control the dog and calm them down, but still going to give them positive reinforcement. Treats, if treats are not going to get them high-strung, that's great. It might be to where you're not going to use a treat. You're going to use a little bit of treats, but primarily a tactile reward, which is just petting the animal. But the good news is your dog will change colors. A red dog can become orange, orange can become yellow, blue can become green, green can become yellow. They can always move to the center of the spectrum. And that's kind of my style.
Right. But, animals, especially animals that are adopted, they all come with baggage, and it takes time for them to relax and gain the trust of who they're with.
You're
because,
correct.
How many people... Everybody learns different. Everybody learns in a different way.
You could not have said it better. And that is so important because it's so important to understand that we have baggage. People have baggage, and for people to think that a dog that comes from an animal shelter is not going to have baggage is just wrong. And it doesn't mean anything bad. It's just the fact that, with a dog that is a blue dog, this is why I wrote this book, and this is why I have this style. I want people to know what's in front of them. Why tell people they have a dog, that you're adopting a dog, that everything is going to be hunky-dory, that it's not going to be hunky-dory. It's going to take some time to work with this dog. We want people to know that. Right. And we want people to have some sort of direction and let them know, hey, listen, we're not hiding anything from this. This is the type of dog it is. This dog will get better. It's got some baggage, and here's how you work with it. And that's really my style.
Right. That's a great way to be, because with people, animals learn differently. When I brought my Maine Coon home, my female, she had just lost her mate, and it was time because she looked very lonely. She hid under the bed. Well, you know what? I didn't listen to the shelter when they said, keep them separate for 10 days. Really? I let him out. He understood. He stayed under that bed for 24 hours with her. When they came out, they were going steady. And to this day, she walks somewhere, he's always behind. And, he's twice the size of her. But I have something like agility. It's like one of these tubes for cats. It's made out of nylon. It's maybe it's 2 feet, 3 feet. He loves to run through that thing. I mean,
That's great.
So I was thinking once I could train him to go on a leash, because I'd love to show him off and, take him to a pet supermarket, because he just is the friendliest animal. I've never had an animal, and I've had a lot of, dogs and cats, but I've never had an animal as sweet and as kind as this animal. I think it's Maine Coon, and I think he was loved. He was chipped. He never is skittish, so nobody ever mistreated him. I think either he got out and got lost, and it's my good luck, but he is truly a wonderful animal. I think the next cats I will always get a Maine Coon. They're a lot of work. You have to brush them,
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other good cat is, I did a commercial with a cat, a Bengal before. It was probably one of the best commercials I did, and they very, 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 very nice cat. Very, very cool cats. Bengals are they're kind of the same personality. But anyways, but the Bengal cats are really, really, people do a little research on them. They're a lot like dogs. It's really funny, their personalities. And they like water too, and in general, but very, very cool.
They're beautiful. I have a friend who has one, and they are beautiful animals. But I didn't know that you could adopt them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, actually, they'll come as mixed, kind of mixed breed, but they're breeders, that actually breed them, and that's the one I use. I used a breeder I met her at a trade show or a cat show in Hartford, Connecticut, actually, and we did the commercial in New York, so it was very, very cool. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'll tell you, I really appreciate you coming on. We learned a lot of stuff, and I'd love to have you on again. And I just want to really thank you and tell everybody, what is the website again? So if they're interested in your books, or if they also want to do a marathon on your videos and learn things.
It's joelsilverman.net.
Thank you so much, Joel. A happy and a healthy New Year. I'll speak to you soon.
And same to your listeners, okay?
Bye-bye.
Okay, time to call off the dogs. We'll be back with more biting topics right after we kibble a little with our sponsors.
My golden retriever, Sundance, is a lot more playful now. She has more pep and energy.
Tons of energy. Happy the rescue dog is happy the healthy dog.
Petey is having fun again. He's got a shiny coat and a good healthy weight.
Molly's been having 4 scoops a day. She pushes her little bowl all the way across the room, emptying every last single crumb. She has slimmed down and gotten this puppy look.
She's got life. She's got energy.
We get asked all the time when we're at shows, how do you get your dog so healthy and shiny and glossy?
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dinovite is nutrition. Just feed your dog right.
Do the Dinovite.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
Hi, I'm Dana Humphrey, the founder of Whitegate PR. We have been specializing in PR and marketing in the pet industry for over 10 years. If you have a pet product or service you would like to promote, give us a call. We can help create awareness for your brand on TV, radio, magazines, newspapers, and blogs. Feel free to reach me directly at 619-414-9307 or learn more on our website at whitegatepr.com or follow us on Facebook.
Let's Talk Pets.
Let's Talk Pets.
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
I'm back, and I wanted to talk to you about reindeer. And I've done some research, and it just seems that reindeer and caribou, over 20,000 years of domestication, are basically separate. But reindeer are especially very interesting. Number one, the males, they shed their racks much earlier in the winter, and the females much later. So that means that the reindeer that Santa Claus is riding on are female. That's probably why he does not need any directions, because they know where to go. Also, their hoofs are very different. Reindeer's hoofs, depending on the time of year, it's very soft for the moss and the grass, and then it changes and it gets a harder coat for the winter months where it could, handle the ice and the snow. I think that's very interesting. And their coat has so much space in between the hair, it's like hollow, that it traps in all of their heat, which they're just amazing animals. They could migrate 3,100 miles per year, and they could move 23 miles per day. That's like amazing. They're just amazing. And another wonderful thing that I never heard of any animal being able to do is they see ultraviolet rays. And that, I think, is just amazing. Now, they're also called bulls and cows for the females and calves for the babies. And 90 minutes after a calf is born, they could actually run and run miles. And their milk is different. They have very rich buttermilk. It's got all kinds of wonderful, wonderful things in it. And it's just funny that different times of year prompt different things. Thank you, everybody. I'm so glad that you stopped in, and I want to thank our guest, Joel Silverman, again. And next time, it'll be the new year. I want to wish you a very happy and a healthy new year. And remember to live life unleashed. Bye-bye.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.